It's Martin here. I'm here with Fernanda, and we've been having a fascinating conversation about communication. Fernanda is a sign language teacher, and she's been talking a lot about, the importance, obviously, of visual communication in sign language. But I was interested in that in the broader context as well as that the written word has come to dominate education so much these days. Exams but of course there's more to communication than just writing and words. In everyday life, we speak to each other, we sign to each other, we have body language. We don't really, apart from in maybe business where we spend all our day in email or writing reports. Communications as such is more than just writing or typing. Fernando, I'll just bring you in. You were talking about how you used videos with your students. Do you want to say a few words about that?
Yes, definitely. The BSL Level 2 qualification is split into 3 units. Two of the units need to be filmed. So the first one is a presentation, the second one is a conversation, and the third one is receptive skills. So that's we can put that to one side. But the first unit we focus on is presentation. So when I film the students and I send them links to their videos, they can actually see, and it gives them a greater awareness of what they're doing with their body, what they're doing with their face, how they're communicating what they need to across to the audience. We often try to use theatrical skills. For example, if you're going to communicate, you've got to remember that you're here in front of the camera, you've got to get right down the lens, right across and to the other person, and your communication has to kind of hit them in the face. So it's not about just like sitting back and being shy. It's about really putting what you want across. And by them seeing their video presentations, they can start to try to show more confidence. They can use more body language, the kind of things that you were talking about. Facial expressions are very, very important.
That's so relevant as well. Yeah, in job skills, communication in everyday life, presentation skills. You see first-time teachers. Often they would turn their backs on the class, right, and talk to the board rather than to the class. But what you were saying there, in your face. Yeah, we neglect a lot of that in education. It's time it came back. Especially in the 21st century. Where we've got more than just letters that we send to each other. We've got real-time, increasingly real-life communication. So, thanks, Fernanda.
I was just thinking of the one student. We met up on Saturday and just had a quick rehearsal. Or I call them rehearsals because it's preparation for the presentation, but it's a practice, obviously. And I mentioned, even like when they finger spelling their name, like, for example, if I was going to do mine, Fernanda. Sometimes what can happen is the students can just focus on their fingers the whole time, but what they need to do is have some eye contact with the person to see and to gauge if the person understands. So the second time my student did it, he signed his first name and then he went to the next and he looked up as if to check that the person was understanding, and it was a little bit humorous, but at the same time, it really put the point across that he was checking.
I think that's wonderful. I think we can really do our students a service by bringing in multimedia, interactive communications into the curriculum. Hopefully the exam boards can somehow adjust to this. I know that in some of the language classes they do have, when I was sitting in last week, they do have there's an English class, they do have video as evidence for assessment, and the exam boards look at that. So it's coming in. I must say, one of the best communications from a student I'd ever seen was that the students were given a task to compare tablets versus laptops in business IT, and they had to present. And majority of them did a PowerPoint presentation, but one of them stood up there and rapped. And that was
excellent.
It was excellent. I've no idea what an exam board would make of a rap, but it was so creative. It was so engaging, and and it won, of course, hands down across all the other ones because it was so, it was so good, so engaging, so contemporary in the students' language, talking to other students. It was perfect.
You know what would be really great is like in the learning center, if there was just a little corner where students could come in and sit and either practice presenting. Obviously, if it was sign language students, they could just sit there and then sign and be recorded. But if it's the other students, they could obviously voice and present and then see what they look like on the other side.
Yeah, I think so. We don't get enough of that. There was another example of a few years ago of Chris Pickford. He set his students the task of presenting the impact of reception on a business. And he said, I could have just given them some references, given them a lesson, and that would have been the end of it. But what he did is he asked the students to research it and present to him and the other class, or the rest of the class in groups, about this topic. They all went off and they made videos, and they did videos in different formats. Some did a comedy like Fawlty Towers, and you had the receptionist, and how customers, the effect on customers. Others did a documentary, others did an interview. Again, it was refreshing rather than just sitting down doing an essay. Yeah, the visual communications is very, very important. So, okay, thanks, Fernanda.
Thank you so much for your support. It's really good to have you invite us on and do this.